Imagine how big my nose looks right now in that video camera.
Huge.
Another new project, probably the longest project that we've had in the shop. So we have the Pro Street truck, obviously, as some people know, and it's kind of been talked about. Justin Zeigler ended up buying the Pro Street truck from Josh. With that being said, obviously going back to UCC again this year, just with new power plant as far as new driveline parts, going with a Turbo 400 this year, and a Bosch standalone system, which will kind of change. We know when we took that step in the truck with Josh, it completely changed the truck. It was a lot faster, more consistent, but we are going to be changing a good bit. Josh's engine was a dry sump. Justin still has a wet sump engine. So we're gonna be redoing some of that stuff as far as all the plumbing. And the truck's been around a long time, so there's a ton of just random brackets, stuff that can get taken off, cut off. We need to lighten it up a good bit. Our goal is always to be minimum race weight, mostly because it's a lot easier on parts. And we're actually going to end up, like in the front, all the years of sled pulling at UCC, we had front receivers. We had a huge huge electric pump for the power steering, because we obviously didn't run a factory power steering pump. And that was for when we had 6 tires on it to turn them, because it was always fun turning with the weight box on. So that is gonna get all redone. A lot of the wiring, plumbing, all that stuff. And we're actually going to front half it. It won't be a full front half, like basically it's going to be in front of the front 4-link brackets. So a lot of this big chunk, so a lot of the factory frame rail that's up and over the axle, all this stuff, because if you remember, obviously Justin has a rather large set of turbos that we're gonna have for the dyno. So this will all go to make some room for that, because the engine in this truck sits 14 inches back. This will be number 50 remakeover for this truck. And yeah, I think we should be good to go once we get a bunch of stuff cut off of it. And if you're curious why it is in its current state of disaster and oil soaked and broken windows and all that, we actually honestly had a little bit of an explosion the last time it was out. But that's just part of the game. Gonna get all that fixed and be looking forward to the spring. First thing on the list to do is, that happens every day. So we are getting Justin's engine kind of all dressed up right now, working on getting just a lot of the fuel, the return block kind of situated on the side of the block rather than mounting it, elsewhere. You can mount them, on the firewall, wherever you want to mount them. I just like putting them on the block, just kind of simplifies it, short lines, not a bunch of stuff coming all the way over here. So I got, top end, all that stuff back in once we got back from Drew's. And then, so we're actually gonna have it's a wet sump, so it has a single Aviate pump section, so it actually pulls out of the bottom. It's got a factory pan on it, but just has a dash 12 or 16 fitting, and the bottom of the pan goes through a single aviate section and then fills back in. Goes through a clear view, so use a clear view filter instead of a factory filter housing, and then back into the block. Obviously, we ended up running. This is now going to be ran dry, so the head's filled. The block is just no water in it, simply because faster you go, having if with it being a cast block still. I mean, we've obviously seen some failures with them. So it's nice not to have coolant or water on the track, just basically another safety precaution thing. We're gonna finish up fitting all of this stuff, and then I can actually set it in the front of the truck. So obviously we cut the front of the truck off just to save a good bit of weight. So once I set it in, then we can start making some front hoops and need to get the turbo kit on, but we are going to a 98 millimeter GT55 on the manifold rather than the 88 that we had last year. Because we are going to, so we're probably going to end up, we'll do testing with both, but we'll probably end up just drag racing with the single GT55 and then having, the big Weimer set up and everything on it just for the dyno. Pretty much about where we are, just modifying a bunch of stuff. Obviously with this, there's a good bit of stuff that's changing, because this, with the engine placement in the Pro Street truck, it does sit 14 inches back from the factory location. And so yeah, we're going to give it a nice whirl and hopefully get it finished before too awful long. If anybody wants to send us any sponsorships, White Tops, or where are they at? The Chaotix? That's the plug. So if anybody wants to willingly send us cases, like Zeigler drank 5 a day. I only drink 3. So as you can see, we have a few problems that we're running into. So obviously you know that the engine is moved back quite a bit. So with that, we knew we'd kind of be a little bit in, we'd have some issues with fitment as far as, fitting Justin's turbo kit on here that we had built for his quad cab. Kind of running into a bit more than expected. We're getting into a bunch of shock stuff that not fitting. The front A-pillar bars, obviously with front halving it, that's also part of a problem. So we are going to be making new pipes and stuff for it. So waiting on some tubing as well. So yeah, just another joyful Monday, trying to figure things out.